Look at this. That's a really nice entry, and he gets it. Now it's can Benoit Saint-Denis make it to the end of this round? That's a big elbows. Yeah, I don't think he's escaping this.
He's battering him here now. Yeah. This is bad. Benoit's got to escape this position.
He's a nasty shot.
The doctor took a look. It's waved off the contest.
Who do you want next?
I want the easy money. Pede Pingley, Dan Hooker, easy money.
Kia ora e te iwi no mai haramai ki UFC on Sky, ko Ravinda Hunia tōku ingoa. First up today, we are discussing UFC Paris, which featured city kickboxing fighter Kevin Jousset. It also featured a wee shout out of sorts to my very own co-host Dan Hooker here, which we're going to get into shortly. Kia ora Dan, and welcome back to the desk.
We're going to start the show off with a fight, are we?
We're starting on a high. We're starting with some fire, okay? Why not? Why not? Look, at the end of that main event, Renato Moicano got the win over Benoit Saint-Denis, and referred to you as an easy next fight. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I'm sure the fans want to know too.
Yeah, I just feel like he's, the ugly girl at the bar that's complaining that no one's buying her a drink. It's, love, you got to face like a smacked ass, you know what I mean? Like, he's just not being realistic about, like, the whole situation. The truth of the matter is that I'm in the top 5 because he ducked me in Perth. He ducked me in Perth, and his complaint was the tax. So then he went to France and paid the exact same tax. Like, the highest tax bracket is the same in both countries. Yeah. So like he cherry picked the easy fight in BSD. Leading into the fight, I said that I didn't think that he was up there of the same caliber. He cakewalks him and then doesn't move up in the rankings. It's the sport of risk and reward, and he took the least risk he could possibly. Whereas me, I always chase the hardest fights that I can possibly get my hands on. And so for my next fight, it'll be the hardest guy I can possibly get my hands on. And that ain't, in all honesty, that ain't Moicano. I think he's got no striking. I think he's got no chin. I think if I touch him, I'll send him to Mars. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll take him home. Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna try me luck with the good-looking ones first, and let me have a couple of beers, love. I'm not saying I won't fight him, but there's the UFC's already chucking some names at me. And they're a hell of a lot better looking than Moicano.
Yes, because on February the 28th, we posted up a promo clip of you saying that you had thrown Moicano's name into the mix. At the time, obviously, you were, I wouldn't like to use the word desperately, but you wanted to be on that Perth card so bad, and you were throwing out names
I said
to
anyone,
hopefully get a spark.
I said anyone. I said I'll fight absolutely anyone, and I repeatedly said Moicano's name for that date, and I just feel like he avoided the Perth, he avoided, and his whole reason is completely invalid. So yeah, it's funny that he's like, who put him in the top 5? You did. You put me in the top 5 by ducking me. So instead of fighting me, which I was prepared to do, I walked straight past you and beat the number 5 in the world. So he's going to sit there and complain. You can't complain your way into the top 5. That's why you've never been in the top 5, and you never will.
Look, also on that card was your teammate Kevin Jousset, who obviously didn't get the result that he wanted. Just wanted to know, have you heard from him? How is he going at the moment?
Yeah, he just had a big shout out in the boys chat. I think he just got clipped with something in the body early and just kind of couldn't really recover from that. And like, you just have to tip your hat to Brian Battle. It's he come in with like a very good game plan. Like, Kev is obviously like incredibly hard to take down, but Battle didn't really intend to take him down. He just pushed him in the cage and make him like work of it. Yeah, it was like a very, very smart game plan. Good step up in competition. Brian Battle is like a very legit fighter, but I'm sure Kev will bounce back and be back in the mix in no time. Yeah,
absolutely. Kevin Jousset, it's his 3rd fight in the UFC. He's 2-1 now. It's nothing to be ashamed of this.
Not the end of the world.
No,
I've been 3-3 many times.
3-3 and sitting in the top 5, not too bad. Look, let's turn our attention now to UFC 307. It's this weekend. And I know you've already been, out there in the universe giving your little analysis on how you feel these fights might go.
But jealous. They flew me to Australia to talk about it.
We're going to have words, Nico.
They flew me to another TV show. I will not say the name here.
Actually, you know what? Let's have a little conversation about that. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Because, once upon a time, there weren't shows like this for you to be able to jump on and all that sort of thing. I mean, we've seen you jump on radio interviews and all of that, but now you have these opportunities to be able to jump on in front foot shows, like this one.
Yeah, it's like
it's a great opportunity.
Like they fly you to Australia for a day, like in and out, like wild that they would. Australians would fly a Kiwi over to hear me complain about. But it's like,
there you go.
It's very good. Something I never imagined that we'd be this like mainstream on Sky Sport, having our own TV show. Yeah,
when we think about a few years ago, I mean,
and they're building us an actual studio.
We are under construction, Whānau. Let's get back to 307. I've had my gripe. I've got it all out.
Let's do some analysis.
Let's actually do something. But in a match that obviously has knockout written all over it, Alex Pereira will be defending his title up against Khalil Rountree. He's ranked number 8 at the moment. Before we get into it, here is what they had to say during fight week. My first question would be, you not long ago had a fight and victorious, obviously. Did you expect to be fighting again so soon?
Not too surprised because we see a bunch of fights getting dropped, right? We're rotating the roster. I think supposed to fight maybe November, but fighting right now is good too. I think the main secret is to be doing a good preparation, be training hard, doing everything right, so you could have a good preparation for the camp, a good training camp. You know what I mean? I was able to fix a lot of my nutrition, a lot of things too, so we stay healthy so I can fight. Well, I tried to stay ready, and of course, if I had to have a fight schedule, I'm going to lower the intensity of training and the quantity too. But I've been doing my camps about staying ready and doing 6 weeks, and that's what's been working for me.
Yes, it has been working for you because you're undefeated at the moment. Look, your coach said in an interview that you're still operating like an apprentice. You're still willing to learn and to grow. How important is that as you continue on as the light heavyweight champion?
Well, it plays a big factor that I believe in there. I have an open mind. Even here in Salt Lake, we go to training once a day, twice a day. Always somebody at the gym going to have a little hint to get a tip for my game or how to imply things, and I just keep an open mind, and I think the secret of everything is just to keep an open mind. Well, not only become the light heavyweight champ, but I think my story in general has been very helpful for me to be able to motivate people, right? Obviously, as a light heavyweight champ, to have all this media on top of me helped me to be able to motivate even more people and show them that if you work hard, if you fight hard for what you want, you can achieve anything.
Me conhece, aí eu penso, não, é brasileiro, né, e tal.
You feel great, sometimes I go to Brazil and people recognize me, but I'm thinking, okay, it's Brazil, it's my country, they're going to know about me. And then, okay, in America, I didn't think that UFC is an American event, that's why people know me here. But then going around the world is very satisfying for me to get all this recognition. It's really nice.
So let's talk a little bit about Khalil Rountree now. He is your opponent this weekend. What do you make of him as a fighter? Obviously, very strong, very powerful striker.
Algumas vitórias consecutivas, tá vindo bem.
He's a strong guy, a guy that is fast. He's coming on a very impressive winning streak. So seems to be a good fighter.
E às vezes eu me comporto.
Well, I think I have a lot of experience, but MMA, I'm kind of young on this sport, but I think I'm ahead of some guys on the fact that I can adapt however the fight goes. All this experience that I had on previous fights, I think it helped me on a manner that sometimes things happen and my body adapts to the fight on a more on automatic way than everything.
I feel really good. Yeah, I feel great. The preparation for this fight has been amazing. Couldn't have asked for a better camp, and here we are just a few days away. Yeah, I've been working really hard to, create and build a new name for myself. I've been in the UFC now for about 10 years. It took some, some ups and downs, but now I'm here, finally on a 5-fight win streak, which means to me that what I've been doing is working. So just looking to continue that and to go and get this belt. Music was my first love. When I was 6, 7, 8, something around there, my mom bought me my first drum set. Then the next Christmas, I got a guitar. Then after that, a new instrument. And so that was kind of my thing. Every year I knew that my mom was going to try to get me a new instrument. And everything that I learned was pretty much self-taught. And I played in a few bands growing up. I still have a heavy connection to almost every genre there is. I love live music, live concerts. I mean, it's just a part of my being, I think that's one of the genes that my dad passed down to me for sure. To play an instrument, there's an art form, and I feel like fighting, there's an art form as well. Had to kind of give one up, music. It takes dedication. If you want to be good, if you want to be talented, if you want to play the instrument right, you have to put in the time. And when I decided to dedicate myself 100% to MMA, I couldn't focus on music as much, but there's still like a creative outlet to the training and to the fighting. So I still get to kind of scratch that creative itch a bit.
Look, let's talk a bit about Alex Pereira. What do you think has been the secret to his success, his reign as champion so far? What is it that people aren't cracking on that code so far?
I can't really say. I think that everyone's tried to crack the code. They haven't been able to. And I think that really plays into the intelligence of the guy. I mean, yeah, he was hard hitting, but, it looks to me and it seems to me that, him and his team, they really use their brains. So it's really like, not that anybody's done anything wrong. I just think that everybody's tried what they thought would work and it just didn't. And so now I'm up next and, I obviously feel differently. I think that, I know and that I'm fully capable of cracking the code, and Saturday is the night that I get to put it to the test.
Okay, so there you have it. Our main eventers have weighed in on Fight Week over there in Utah. So Dan, I'm interested to see what you think of this fight. Two big strikers coming up against each other this weekend.
Yeah, so I pretty much asked Alex what he thinks of Khalil's striking, because I was very interested to hear his review of him as a pure striker, and I also asked him how he'd fare in Glory, which is like a kickboxing organization that Alex Pereira is like a 2-time champion, and he said that, which gave me a good insight into his game plan, is that he said he's fast, explosive, he's a big guy, dangerous, can punch, can kick. But he slows down very quickly and he wears him out. So that lends me to believe that Alex will take a bit of time and just stay behind his jab, stay behind those low kicks, and just wear Khalil down into the later rounds. It's a 5-round title fight, and he just feel like his experience will shine through over that time. Like give him enough space to drown himself, I guess. And yeah. That's obviously he has to be dangerous. I was there and I fought on the same card when Khalil knocked out the former heavyweight Glory champion Gokhan Saki, which was like a very similar feeling to this going into the fight. Like a lot of the fans were going, well, he's not going to shoot a takedown. He's said he's not going to take him down. He's going to strike with him. Like who on earth would strike with Gokhan Saki? That's what all we were saying. And it's kind of the same feeling leading into this one. It's like, who in their right mind is going to stand in front of Alex and refuse to take him down? Well, this guy right here. And anyone has a puncher's chance in the division, but I would just say that the 25 minutes and by Alex starting slowly and just looking for the counters early on and then starting to pressure on, put the pressure on when Khalil starts to slow down.
And then what's next for, so say Pereira gets his hand raised, belt is back around his waist, what is next for him? He's talking about maybe a middleweight switch, maybe a heavyweight switch.
That's it. Volka's kind of asking him yesterday the same thing. He's like, you've spoken about the heavyweight title, the middleweight title, like this and that. The world is his oyster after this. He's painted himself to now as to being the biggest star in the UFC. Like he doing what he's done and taking these fights on short notice and jumping in last minute for the company. I feel like we're always talking about him.
Yes. His face is always on these graphics.
Yeah, his face is on these graphics because the guy's always stepping up to the plate and taking these main events and headlining these pay-per-views and doing all the media he can possibly do. Like the guy's workload is incredible. He wants to stay active. So the world you're the biggest star in the UFC. The world is your oyster. I'd just like to see it. I'd just like to see a heavyweight title.
Yeah, I want to see that too.
I just want to see it. I'd like to see, undisputed heavyweight title like Aspinall or something. Like preferably, I'd like to see Jones and Fajita, but.
Yeah. But look, that's not the only title fight that's on the menu this weekend. We also have Raquel Pennington up against Juliana Pena. Let's have a quick look at what they had to say. It's a bit fiery. Let's see what they had to say on Fight Week in Utah. First of all, congratulations on getting your hands on that bantamweight title this year. I just wanted to know, it's been a few months where you've been sitting as champion of the bantamweight division and how your reign has been so far.
Thank you. It's been an interesting few months, to say the least. For anybody who follows my career, they know the ups and downs that I've climbed, all the mountains I've had to conquer, and how many times I've tumbled back down and gotten back up. And that turned out to be that last fight as well. We had the perfect opportunity to go out and win the world title. It was my second time being offered to fight for a world title, and of course that's the ultimate goal. And just during fight week, we were leaving freezing temperatures in Colorado and going to freezing temperatures in Canada, and I remember sitting at the airport, delayed flights, and I'm calling UFC because I started to get sick. That entire fight camp that I had, it just felt like it went out the window, and the coaches were like, hey, we're going to need you to dig deep. We don't care what this fight looks like, but you can go out there and at 40%, you can win this fight. And so it's something I had to truly shift. And needless to say, I conquered the ultimate goal, but I was actually sick until the end of February. My daughter ended up sick and in the hospital. My wife ended up sick. One of my coaches was sick and lost over 30 pounds. I don't know what was going on. So between conquering your ultimate goal, but then being super sick, it honestly took a while for it to settle in. And then, Tisha went into fight camp, and right before that, just real life hit. Her grandma passed away. Tisha went into another fight camp, and the fight where it didn't go her direction, so dealing with her emotions. And then my Nana passed away, and it was just real life that hit. It's it is what it is. It's life and stuff, but needless to say, before this camp, and I had a general idea that I would return back in October, or now in October, and it was just I kind of just sat down for myself and just really hit the reset button. I feel like after losing my Nana, who was just the matriarch of our family, it just changed something inside of me, and I really feel like I just truly stepped into the shoes of being the world champion and embracing all of it.
How do you go and have this career in the UFC for so long and you haven't faced her yet? How does that even happen?
I'm right there with you. I've honestly, whether it's true or not, I've asked for the fight throughout the years, and they're like, she don't want to fight you. Somehow Juliana, she spent a lot of time, she fights and then she's injured for a long period of time, and then she'll come back a couple years later, and then she's injured again, and then she'll come back. And it just so happened, she made one of the largest upsets in history against Amanda. For me, this wasn't a fight that they called and they're like, oh, hey, 8 weeks ago, do you want to fight Juliana in October? No, this is a fight that I've been looking forward to since 2013. So there's been a lot of thought throughout the years because I've been ready for it. I've been waiting for it.
Look, first of all, welcome back, and can't wait to see you back in action again. How has it been, this preparation to get back into the octagon, not only just to fight, but to fight for a title?
This preparation has gone exactly how I thought it was going to go. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm feeling good and energized. I'm feeling invigorated and motivated. I'm extremely hungry. And I have been thinking about this fight for the last 18 months. So it's a little bit surreal, the fact that it's finally here. It's almost like, wow, I can't believe it is actually finally here. I'm ready to go. It has been, she said, 13 years that she's been thinking about fighting me and punching me in the mouth. And I haven't thought about Raquel in 13 years. So, it's nice to know that you have fans and admirers that have been thinking about you and, looking at you and wanting to fight you. I guess that's what happens when you got the bullseye on your back, but I welcome the challenge. And yes, we did live together. We did have, our little history of beef on The Ultimate Fighter season 18. And at the end of the day, we are just going to go in there and squash that beef that's kind of been brewing for the last 13 years. So I'm very excited for this fight. I feel great. Raquel actually has the belt right now. So it's just kind of weird the way things transpired and the way that, things happened. I would definitely have to blame myself for that one, for getting injured. So the fact that it's finally coming to fruition is a long time coming.
And the last time we saw you fighting for a title, you stunned the world in defeating Amanda Nunes. Can you take us back to that moment and what that was like to have the bantamweight title around your waist?
It was something about hard work and grit and determination that was able to help me get over that, a confidence that I had in myself, a self-belief that I had in myself that, I was not going to be deterred that night. And it was just an amazing moment to be able to finally, claim gold in such a dominant fashion. And I truly am looking forward to being able to do that again.
I wanted to get your thoughts, your reaction when you saw Raquel Pennington winning the bantamweight title. Did you know from that moment, okay, then her first defense is going to be against me?
I think I had an inkling that it was going to be me. Yes, of course I was very vocal about it and never been one to shy away from telling the company what I want. At the end of the day, my job is to remind everybody, what my name is and what I stand for in fighting and reclaim my chance of becoming the face of women's MMA, which I feel like she hasn't been able to represent in a way that I feel does the division justice.
It takes more than just, being a champion in the octagon. It's also how you carry yourself outside of it as well. So do you recall when you were bantamweight champion, how things perhaps changed while you were the champion?
I feel like I have always walked around knowing that I was going to be a champion before I became a champion. And then when I lost the belt, that didn't go away. That feeling of being the champion stayed with me. And so when I walk into places and when I, meet somebody, I feel like I'm shaking hands as the champion. I'm shaking hands with somebody who is meeting the UFC bantamweight world champion. And so I just feel like I've always carried that type of persona maybe, or I just feel like it's a part of who I am. It's not something that could ever be taken away from me. It's the way that you carry yourself. It's mindset. And it's not just about, getting inside the octagon and being a champion, but it's also outside of the octagon and being a champion with your mind and meditating and praying and just believing and always knowing and walking in the shoes of I am who I say I am. I am the bantamweight world champion. So to me, it's not something that it's you're not the champion anymore. It's that's really hard for me to grasp, accept, and wrap my head around, because I'm of course I am. What are you talking about? I am the champion, yes.
You've been in this game for so long now. I just wanted to know, what is it about the sport that you love so much? Yes, you're fighting at the top of your division, and yes, you're fighting title fights, but what is it about mixed martial arts that keeps you going?
Well, first off, just the love of jiu-jitsu, the thrill of jiu-jitsu, just mastering how to be able to manipulate somebody else's body, against their own will, and being able to submit them in a spot that makes them defenseless. I don't know what it is. It must be the competitive nature that I have, but I've truly fallen in love with the sport of jiu-jitsu. And so knowing that I'm in love with jiu-jitsu and knowing how fun it is for me, it makes the whole MMA process and the whole fighting process that much more funner, because I'm actually having a good time when I go to practice, when I'm training. It's not something that is like a chore for me. It's something that motivates me and makes me happy and excited. I love getting out of bed and getting the opportunity to go and train jiu-jitsu, or to go and spar, and to go and fight. I think that I have this competitive nature of, let's see what you got, let's see what I got, and may the best woman win. And I think that thrill is what keeps me motivated. That thrill is what keeps me wanting to continue to compete, to see who the best is.
Look, on this card, you have the top 4 women of the bantamweight division competing. Of course, Kayla Harrison up against Ketlin, as well as yourself against Raquel. I wanted to know your opinion on Kayla Harrison, who's new to the scene. She's shot up straight to 3rd ranked after her submission win over Holly Holm, and has mentioned how much she would like to face you in the near future.
Yes, yes, she has. And yes, she is new to the division. And yes, she is definitely a brute force. You can see that, obviously. I think that we will eventually fight. So she just needs to, be a little bit more patient and stay in that line, sweetie, because she's absolutely going to get hers in the near future.
This card is like a jump start to an incredible division. Like the women's bantamweight division has just been like, this is the division that started it. This is the Ronda Rousey created woman in the UFC through this division. Holly Holm, Amanda Nunes, like there have been some of the greatest female combat sport athletes of all time come through this division, and it's been quiet for a bit, like it's been very quiet. Amanda retired, Juliana has been injured and sitting out for 2.5 years, and there's been no real clear contenders. But now this is like just a reinvigoration of this division. We're getting a big title fight, and then we're also getting a number one contender on the card in Kayla Harrison. But whoever wins this fight, we've got a number one contender fight with a huge name. And there's going to be, speaking of both of them yesterday, there's going to be a huge argument the entire time. So, so just a reinvigoration of an incredible division.
Yes, you've mentioned Kayla Harrison, and we spoke to her as well. Here is her take and who she thinks is going to take out the fight between Pennington and Pena. Kayla, I wanted to get your opinion. I know you have a big task in front of you this weekend against Ketlin, but I wanted to know how much of an eye you are keeping on that co-main event this weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm keeping an eye on it. I just know that I go out there, I do my job, I instill my will, put on a hell of a show on Saturday night, and I have the winner of that. But honestly, I think I could take all three of them in the same night. So I'm not too worried about any of it.
Who do you have taking that fight out, Pennington or Pena, and why?
I think it's kind of a toss-up. Pena's been out for a while. She's had an injury, so there might be some ring rust. I tend to lean more towards the grappler, so I was thinking her, but after thinking about it a little bit more, there's something about being a champion and the confidence that brings. So, and honestly, I'm so torn. I want to put a elbow through Pena's face, but I'm concerned about, she's not super active as a champion. She's not super active as a fighter, and I really don't want to wait. So I guess I'm cheering for Pennington.
Dan, that is us for another week. Before I let you go, let our viewers know what you'll be up to next week. Are you flying away again?
Yeah. It's been a bit of a pest. I did the UFC at the Sphere. Then I went to Tahiti for a week. Well, I just went to Sydney yesterday, and then I'm going to Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship on Tuesday. Going to go corner my friend Oscar and pick a fight with Conor McGregor. That's my...
Gonna go rattle the cage once again.
Those are my two objectives. If there's one thing I can do, it's piss someone off, don't you?
You absolutely can, Dan. You absolutely can. I've seen it in the Instagram comments after we put up numerous promos of you doing just that. Well, we thank you. But all the very best. Whānau, don't forget UFC 307 is going down this weekend. Alex Pereira up against Khalil Rountree for the light heavyweight title. Raquel Pennington up to defend her bantamweight title against Juliana Pena, and a plethora of events during that card as well. Don't miss it. Book now on Sky Arena or Sky Sport Now. All of the prelims are of course free and live on Sky Open. Until next week, hei kōna mai.